habit of spending everything that comes is of the devil. Always ask yourself, what would happen if I stop working today? Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the AgriCapitalist podcast, where we talk about hidden treasures in plain sight. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the productive use of our earnings for sustainable wealth creation. It is no longer a news anymore that the majority of our workforce are going to retire with little to no legacy to leave behind. Most of us are actually just grinding to survive a day, but the truth of the matter is there is more to the grind. You can imagine the number of people that graduates from the university in a country like Nigeria, where I am from, and these people get converted into the formal and informal sector employment. They are working, they are sweating, they are grinding on a daily basis, maneuvering harsh conditions and a lot of difficulties. But at the end of the day, these same people would retire with very little and with high hopes on God to make a way. But this episode is meant to act as a solution to the question that is hanging over most of our heads. What will happen when I retire? Yeah, you see, there is a philosophy, a school of thought rather, that I have been living with over the years. And that is this: what would happen when I can no longer put in my best, I can no longer work my hardest, I can no longer keep late nights, and I can no longer do the things that I am in capacity of doing right now? You know, that has been in my head for a long time, and it has helped me navigate through a lot of wrong decisions. Yeah, because there's this tendency to always want to flex a bit. There's this tendency to always want to, live life a bit, which is not a bad thing. But then we often do that at a very early age. We often do that when we've not actually built something formidable enough that will sustain us if anything should go wrong. Here's the truth. Most of us are working very hard, but if we should stop working today, very few of us would be able to live off what we have actually worked over the years. And what I'm trying to say in simple terms is this: most of us don't even have a month's salary as a reserve. If anything should happen to you, if anything should happen to us this very moment, and we could not go to work, hence there is no salary coming in for a month, most of us would actually go begging. And that is a sad reality for most of us, and it shouldn't be so. And here is why I feel this episode is very apt, because I believe in my own little way I would be able to communicate some value for us to reconsider a lot of things that we've actually been holding strong. Yeah, and I have lashed on the problem a lot. Let's talk about the solution now. First and foremost, I'd want to say this phrase: if you are young and you are earning, you are of the age of working, you are of working age, and you don't have a reserve whatsoever, you have failed yourself. There will come a time when you can no longer work. Your vibrance now, you are everywhere. There will come a time when you can no longer do the things you can do, right? You can run a stairs, you can run up a stairs, up to and fro. There will come a time you can't do that anymore. And if you don't have a formidable background, a formidable foundation, if you've not used your working age to build a formidable foundation, you will collapse when the time comes, because it is certain It is as certain as the air we breathe in that there will come a time when you can no longer put in your effort anymore. You can no longer fight. You can no longer hustle. Yeah, you can no longer do that anymore. That time is what will happen to every single person, every single young person in this life. So what you do now will help you or will become your problem tomorrow. Most of us are working. We are actually earning. Yeah, if we should calm down and just think about a lot of things, we realize that we are actually earning more than our parents did at our age. Except for some people. But the majority of us, we know this, that we are actually earning more than our parents are earning. But we are barely surviving, because we have a lot of unnecessary expenses. We have a lot of subscriptions. We have a lot of unnecessary expenses just to crown it all. And if we can just cut back on just one unnecessary expense and just redivert that earning that is going towards that direction towards a savings, for instance, we would actually be surprised at the outcome in a period of a year. Yeah, and if we should multiply that by how many unnecessary expenses we cut off our liability column, we'd realize a lot from our savings. Yeah, and this is not to run down on anybody or to talk down on anybody's philosophy thus far. It's just to say, is there a possibility that we are not considering? And that is where I stand, and that is what is prompting me to do this episode today. Because you were not born to hustle, spend, and die. You were not born to just hustle and spend. You were born to build, to preserve, to grow, to multiply. Yeah, so the habit of spending everything that comes is of the devil. It's a very destructive mindset, and it should end if you want to build a sustainable legacy. If you are new here, this is the AgriCapitalist podcast. We talk about wealth creation through the use of land via agriculture. Yeah, and one way we as a people, we as a community, we are building a formidable system an ecosystem wherein people can be self-reliant. Yeah, not going into a business and you start looking for a lot of people to give you handouts and all of that. We are trying to build something that is strong, something that will last. And one way for us to do that is for us to be disciplined enough. See, you cannot be successful if you are not disciplined. You have to be disciplined for you to be successful. You have to be actually willing to make some difficult decisions for you to get to the point where they can label you a success. You have to cut down on you have to say no to a lot of things that otherwise seem very good to you and would feel unfair for you to say no to. But that is what is required of you if you want to make it to the point where they can label you as a success in your area of endeavor. Yeah, and we can start with the basics, which is having a disciplined financial system. Yeah, it's something that has been in my head for a very long time. We look at the rich and we look at the poor. Yeah, a great distance between the rich and the poor. Yeah, but we cannot swear that the poor have actually not seen money in their life. It is not possible. Think about this. It is not possible to say that the poor have never seen money in their life. But the truth of the matter is we have all seen money in our lives, one way or the other. Whether it is in lump sums or it's just pennies here and there. But we've all seen money. Yeah? And what differentiates the rich from the poor, amongst other things, is a disciplined financial system. The rich have a disciplined financial system. The truth of the matter is this: the rich you see, they don't spend as the poor. The poor, we spend before we invest, we spend before we save, we spend before we think of building anything sustainable, while the rich build before they start spending. That's why you will see a billionaire wear the same kind of dress with no label, with no flashy attire, and they are doing all right because they know that the resources they are earning, the income they are earning, the earnings they've acquired over this period of time is to keep them growing, not to sustain their level. It's to keep them on the high side, not to sustain where they are standing. It's to keep them always striving for more. And that is what I want you watching this, you listening to this, to actually develop within. That mindset to always build from what you've already have, what you've already acquired so far. Not to start looking for a messiah somewhere to come and help you, but take on the baton and start building from what you already have. Your earnings is good. Your earnings can do a lot for you, more than you are considering, more than you are thinking right now. You might be earning 50,000 a month, and you might be earning more than that by God's grace. But think about it: how much of that is left in somewhere after your expenses? And you realize that most of us don't have anything aside the expenses. Once the money comes in, they go into different direction. At the end of the day, there is nothing left. There is nothing left. There is nothing to hold on to. That should change. If we want to build a future, if we want to build sustainable legacies, if we want to build a thriving economy, we should start by disciplining our finances. Always ask yourself, what would happen if I stop working today? What would happen if I retire today? Because the time will come you will retire, and if you have not started asking yourself these kind of questions, it will come at you as a surprise. Imagine the people that are already 50 already. Imagine the people that are 55. What is left of their working age? Now that you are young, now is the time for you to consider this possibility before it becomes a problem to you tomorrow. Convert your earnings, convert your salaries, convert a portion of it to a reserve that will eventually grow to a point where you can now finance a business that you can start relying on. Yeah? Imagine this possibility. You are earning, then a portion of your earning is going to a savings account. Over a period of time, that savings account is enough to cover your 6 months expense. You can actually go off the working environment for 6 months to just calm your head with 6 months provision. I'm just giving that as an example. But imagine you grow beyond just having 6 months of your salary, your earnings in a savings account. You can then start thinking of what can I build? And our previous episode where we talk about the power of collaboration, the real wealth hack for agripreneurs, I talked about how people can collaborate to build thriving businesses. Yeah? Imagine if you have enough resources from your earnings, a portion of it, diligently keeping it every month, keeping your part of your earnings every month as a means of a fallback, a means of a savings for you. It grows to become big enough to cover your 6 months expenses, and eventually grows to become a 1 year expense reserve. You can then start thinking of, okay, who can I partner with for a business, this business and that business, while you are still working. Eventually you grow to the point where you are earning from this side, you are earning from this side. It increases your wealth, your asset column, your asset holdings, your asset holdings. It increases your asset holdings, and before you know it, in no time, you are You have grown to the point where you can now hit your chest in certainty that, okay, if today I retire, I have something to fall back on. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of people, the people you see on the road walking by every morning, they are on a haste to their workplace. Most of them are going to retire with nothing. But that should not be you. Today, brothers and sisters, now is the time for you to rethink what your earnings is actually meant for, and start planning how you can grow your earnings without spending it all. Thank you. And if you are new to this channel, please like and subscribe. I'll be sharing more tips, more ideas, and more insights on how to build wealth sustainably, strategically, and impactfully. God bless you.